Alright, what is going on everyone? Welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about something pretty exciting, and that is the brand new iPhone and its amazing camera. We're going to be shooting some portraits and showing you guys kind of what this camera can do. Here I have the iPhone 11 Pro Max. That's kind of a mouthful, but in 256 gig capacity in the really nice green finish. I'm really excited to test this camera out. I've heard a lot of great things from it and I've seen a lot of different opinions, but I really want to be able to give you guys my take on this camera, specifically shooting portraits. So we're gonna kind of mess around with this camera. This isn't a full review, so don't expect me to go really super in depth, but I am going to be talking about a few things that I do love about this camera. We're currently in Malibu Creek State Park and we're gonna head down to the beach shortly after, take some beautiful portraits, and let's get right into it before we waste any more time. So I just wanted to start this video off honestly by saying, yes, this iPhone is an incredible camera. All iPhones have pretty incredible cameras. I think we all know this. You guys didn't really come here to see that. You came here to see my take on this camera and this phone in general. But I will say, if cameras and phones, especially phone cameras, aren't a big part of your everyday life, I don't really know if $1,200 for a phone like this is actually worth the upgrade. I would personally, if you're looking to get into photography, I would buy something like DSLR camera or something like that, to be honest with you. This isn't going to be like, your main everyday shooter. I will say, however, though, this is an amazing phone camera, just, based off the quick test that I've already done since having this phone for the last couple days. So, kind of take this with a grain of salt. If I realize all iPhones are extremely expensive, so if you guys aren't really looking to get into like the mobile photography game per se, you're probably better off just getting a cheaper iPhone. They all have great cameras. This one, yes, it's incrementally better, but I think if you're not worried about the camera, or you don't really care about those incremental upgrades, you could probably get a lot better deal, honestly, by just getting an older iPhone. So this iPhone 11 has 3 different lenses in the camera system itself. It has an ultra-wide lens, which is 13 millimeters, insanely wide. Also a normal wide-angle lens, which is 26. And then finally the telephoto lens, which is 52 millimeters. Mainly we're going to be focusing on today is the wide and telephoto focal lengths. I don't really think the ultra-wide looks very good for portraits and any kind of photos with people, really, because of how much distortion there is. But I know the ultra-wide is really popular for people right now. I've seen so many videos and a lot of photos even on Instagram of people just using the ultra-wide because it's available. It's kind of become a little bit of a trend, that is expected, but I hope it's not going to be a trend for the future, just because I don't really think the ultra-wide for photos of people necessarily is that great. But I will say the telephoto and the wide angle are pretty amazing. So in my opinion, the ultra wide lens itself would be very useful for tight cramped spaces or even landscape photos, kind of anything where you need to get a little bit more kind of real estate in your photo and you don't have the room for it. I think the ultra wide is amazing for that. Also for video, I think this is going to be a game changer. All I'm really saying though is that the wide angle lens itself for photos of people, and that's what we're mainly focusing on in today's video, it's not the best. We're gonna shoot a couple photos here and there with it, but you'll see that it just kind of distorts parts of the body that, shouldn't really be distorted in a portrait. Okay, so what I'm gonna have you do here is just lay a little bit against this tree trunk. So if you can have your hand up above your head like this, and then lean even a little bit more on the tree. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. That feels kind of weird, but it will look good. Let's have your head go this way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kind of close your eyes a little bit. Can you put a little bit more hair on this side? Yeah. Yeah, there you go. And close your eyes for me. Yeah. All right, so look right here towards me. Chin up a little bit. And have your hand just like right under here, like kind of holding your chin. There you go. Yeah. Hold that. Looks so nice with the sun flare. So as we've taken our first couple of portraits with this phone, there's a few things that I really like so far. The first thing is the smart HDR on this phone is pretty incredible. I had the iPhone XS Max, like I said, before this phone, and I've seen a noticeable difference in the HDR, especially when I'm taking a portrait of somebody. I want the background to be as properly exposed as possible. Obviously that's not really that possible on a DSLR with really bright light like we're dealing with right now, but I think with the iPhone and the smart HDR, it's pretty amazing that you're able to have everything in proper exposure. And secondly, the thing that I love the most so far about this phone is definitely the wide angle portrait mode. This is something I've looked for in the past on previous iPhones, but Apple never gave it to us. So I've really loved being able to play around with that. As you guys have noticed, pretty much all the photos that I've taken so far have been on that wide portrait mode, and it's just so nice. It isolates the subject, the bokeh is beautiful, and it doesn't miss focus. So this is pretty incredible and my favorite feature so far. So as far as the interface goes, I really love a few things about that as well. The first thing being this kind of rangefinder design of the actual camera, where you can see what's coming into the frame before it's actually there. I think that's really cool. If you shoot on classic rangefinders or any sort of rangefinder style camera, you know what this is, and essentially you can see, you know, if you're shooting street or you're shooting a landscape, you can see whatever's coming into the frame before it's actually in your frame, and then you can zoom out or zoom in to get the perfect shot with the lens that you want. I also love the ability to swipe down from the top and access all of the settings that you need for your particular photo, including aspect ratio, flash, as well as self-timer. All of these things are really helpful, and it's nice to be able to access all of them in one specific place in the app. Alright guys, well, that concludes today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one, a nice breakdown look into portrait photography with the iPhone 11 Pro. I know I missed a pretty key feature, and that is night mode. I'm sure some of you are wondering, or many of you are wondering, what night mode is and why it's so cool. I myself think that it's worth an entire video, so we're going to be making an entire video talking about night mode and photography with night mode, why it's cool, and all that fun stuff. So stay tuned for all of that, but for now, hopefully you guys enjoyed kind of my insights into this camera. I'm honestly super impressed, especially with the wide angle portrait mode, the smart HDR, and just the overall image quality of the images I was getting out of this camera. However, the one thing that I really think that could be improved, and it's not, you know, included with this phone, is RAW support. If you're gonna call a phone like this professional, I really think that something as simple as RAW images included in the actual native iPhone camera app are super important and honestly integral to the actual term pro. I mean, to me, pro means professional, especially if you're spending $1,200 to $1,300 on a device like this. It really is, I think, a make or break feature. So hopefully Apple listens to the professionals that are buying these devices down the road and can implement that into a future update. But for now, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm excited to make a lot more videos regarding the iPhone 11 Pro and what you can do with it in a creative sense. So stay tuned for all of that. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.